I'm so glad I just looked at the computer before I kept talking because I realized that my mic wasn't on, so that would have been pretty bad if I sat here and just kept talking to you guys, but you guys couldn't hear me because I would have had no audio. Anyways, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Girls Gotta Talk podcast. If anyone near me in the apartment complex that I live in, like anyone either on my floor, like neighbors, or like the people above me can hear me, they're probably gonna get pretty annoyed with me. Either that or hopefully they're looking us up on any of the platforms that I say, because it is currently Tuesday. And I want you guys to get as excited as I'm about to get after I say this, but it is Tuesday, and this is the third podcast episode I've recorded this week. That is crazy. I don't think I've ever been this prepared in my life. If you guys haven't listened to the last couple podcast episodes that have been up before this, go catch up, go give them a listen, because, you know, why not, right? Like, why not? Anyways, B, I recorded the episode that would have gone up on Monday. Okay, let's put it into perspective. Today is Tuesday, April 16th. So the episode that went up on April 15th were small things that were actually a big deal to me or something. I think I titled it something along those lines. I recorded that episode on Monday, like a couple hours after it was supposed to be live. It went up like 5 hours after it was supposed to be up, yada, yada. Anyways, it happens. And then I recorded the following week's episode Monday night after I worked for a little bit. I went to work for a few hours, came home, hung out with JJ a little bit, took a shower, ate a little bit, recorded another podcast episode, literally recorded and edited, made the thumbnail, like all of that before I went to bed that night. That was the Keep People Close episode. And then this is the third episode I've recorded this week. I honestly don't think this is going to go up until the beginning of May. I think the first week of May or something is when this episode is actually prepared to go live. If things are recorded and uploaded in the right sequence of how I'm planning it right now, between this episode that you're currently listening to and the Keep People Close episode, there should have been one more, but I haven't recorded that one right now because it is going to include a guest. I don't want to say too much in case that episode is out of order, out of sequence than how I'm planning it right now, but there is going to be a guest, or there was a guest, depending on, like I said, how it goes up between when I'm recording this episode and when it actually goes up. But that'll be kind of exciting, kind of interesting. I don't want to say too much and give it away, but I don't know which one it'll be. But yeah, I've just been on a recording spree lately. I don't know, and I'm actually not upset about it. The weather between yesterday and today have been phenomenal, and honestly, that's just a game changer within itself that automatically puts me in a good mood. So if I'm in the mood I've been in lately, really happy, really excited, really like, I don't know, just going with the flow type of vibe energy, if you were to tell me, hey, sit down and record another episode, I'm definitely going to be like, heck yes, let's go. Let's set it all up. Let's sit down. Let's have a little chit chat. Let's hang out. It's going to get done. Tonight, I just said JJ. Julian took JJ out. Let's reverse that really quick. So I actually have like a mom free night, which I don't get like a lot of, especially during the week. Julian usually has JJ because I end up working, but like today I only work till 3, so like I would have had tonight mom duty, if that makes sense. But Julian took him out, so they're out for dinner, and Julian was like, oh, I left the camera up. If you want to, you could record another podcast episode, because normally I like to record at night when baby's sleeping. Julian's usually out working. That way, like, I know it's just quiet and me, and I can just sit, record, and have a good time. And so, like I just said, with the vibes that have been going, and I'm like, absolutely. So I literally just set everything up, and here we are. I was planning on going out because, like I said, it has been really, really, really nice weather. And when it's like this, I don't like to be or feeling like I'm stuck inside. I don't want to be like wasting the nice weather. So I was going to go out really quick and just kind of stroll around. But it's currently 5:36 p.m. When I decided all this, it was like a little after 5. And by the time I like set up and I figured I recorded and whatnot, it'd be a little better. People are coming home from work now. Outside of the apartment is like a pretty busy like intersection. And I can see that like it was getting kind of backed up and like traffic jam and all that stuff. And I was like, you know what? Like, I don't want to go out and sit in all that. I'll just skip that for now. I'll record while everyone's on their way home. And then by the time I'm done, it'll probably be a little less trafficy. And then I'll head out then. I think, honestly, what I plan on doing is going to get another coffee. By then, it'll probably be like almost 6:30, but I don't even care. I just want one. The one I had this morning was really, really good. So I think I'm just fiending for another one, like more caffeine. And then I'm going to go sit at my favorite place along the water and watch the sunset by myself. Honestly, that just sounds like a very nice vibe. And I feel like by the end of the night, I'll feel really content and like excited for the day because I would have recorded yet another episode for this podcast. I would have got coffee, watched the sunset, been to my favorite place that I actually haven't been to in a while. So that within itself is really exciting. And then I'll come home, probably say goodnight to JJ, depending on when they get home. The sun doesn't set until 7:30 p.m. So I don't know if I'll actually see like the full sunset because I don't know if I want to sit there that late. And then, like I just said, depending on when they get home tonight, I'll want to see JJ and say goodnight and put him to bed and all that. But then I'll probably end up editing this podcast, like the one you're listening to right now, just because if I know I have it recorded, like I just like editing them. That's super simple and easy to edit the podcast. So I'll probably just do all that. Honestly, just because, but I just dropped the mic. Honestly, just because, but yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of setting up for a nice little solo night, and I'm kind of looking forward to it now that I just said all that. But anyways, I feel like I just went through that whole intro and we're not even into the episode yet. But streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, anywhere you stream your podcasts, or we are here on YouTube, Girls Gotta Talk Podcast. Come subscribe, join over here. Even if you do listen, you could still subscribe. Yeah, so this episode was kind of randomly thought of. I've always wanted to do some type of episode on like different quotes and just how I feel about them or meanings or blah, 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 whatever. So this episode is basically going to be quotes that I don't want to like be dramatic and like say quotes that have changed my life, but like quotes that have changed my life or like how I think about life or things or anything that's really happened, if that makes sense. I know there's different quotes that I love that people personally hate and would definitely not kind of live by, quote unquote, but I love some of them, and I figured why not just tell you the quotes that kind of get me through life, I guess you could say. I don't really know how I'm trying to explain this, but let's just get into it. The first one I have is probably the most, I feel like this one is like you kind of like it or you hate it. Like there's kind of not like an in-between with it, is the quote, "It is what it is." I love this quote, to be honest. I am one of the type of people that love saying like it is what it is. Like a lot of people hate it because they're like, no, like it's not, it is what it is. Like I don't know, like I don't know their side of it. I know my side is I love it, and it's one of those things where it's like whatever happened at this point. There's probably not much you can do about it, so there's no point in hanging on to whatever the moment is or whatever happened. You just kind of have to move yourself on from the situation, move on. Whatever happened, especially if you know it's something that is 100% out of your control. You just kind of have to let it go. Not that you probably want to, and not that that's definitely something you wanted to hear. It's just kind of something that has to happen. It is what it is. Whatever happened. It's honestly probably an experience that you can learn from. So like I said, whatever happened. Take the outcome of what happened, or take the experience of what happened, or whatever you had gone through, and kind of learn from it. You definitely are going to learn from it. You learn from probably 95% of the experiences that you go through. Yeah, you're just, and it could definitely is something that can make you stronger, make you, I don't know, definitely just stronger. And if you end up going through a situation like that again, something very similar, you either know how to react, how to get through it, how to, again, move on from it, but maybe in like a different way, so to speak. The next thing that I have was kind of two quotes that I kind of combined into like one, I don't want to say meaning, but meaning. The first one is definitely my favorite thing, is the only way out is through. I don't know, like if you're going through a hard time, the only way to get to the other side, or out of the situation, through the situation that you're going through, and getting to the point where you can see the outcome of the situation, you have to go through the situation, if that makes sense. The only way out of the situation is going through it to get to the other side, to get to the outcome of, honestly, either good or bad. You're still getting an experience of what you're going through. And like I said, for the last one, is you kind of live and you learn through different experiences that you go through. Keep going, keep pushing through what you're going through almost. And I would say almost 99% of the time, it'll make you stronger in the end. The other quote that I had kind of going along with that is, "This feeling will pass." I feel like that's another quote that can be from a situation of whatever you're going through. It might seem like the hardest time for you. It might seem kind of like the darkest time for you, but it will pass. I promise you will get through it. I promise it'll make you stronger. I promise that you'll see a really good outcome in the end. I don't know. I kind of combined those into one, with basically the sole purpose is on the other side, like the light on the other side of the tunnel. You will get there. You will see a really good outcome in the end. You just kind of have to keep pushing yourself, which is, I feel like, what will make you stronger in the end, when you finally push through, when you finally get to the end, when you finally are on the other side type of situation. The The next thing I had was great things never come from the comfort zone or from comfort zones. This is definitely like an at to myself here. This is definitely something I need to like implant in my brain almost. I am such a I'd love to live inside of my comfort zone. Obviously, I'm really comfortable in my comfort zone, hence the word comfort, but I'm a very comfort zone person. If I'm pushing myself out of my comfort zone, honestly, something happened to me. Something either went wrong or I'm just kind of giving a it is what it is type of moment and actually pushing myself, which very surprising but very proud moment, I guess you could say. But I still feel like it's a very true statement. You need to kind of experience things outside of comfort zones, I would say. Staying inside of your comfort zone, I feel like 99% of the time isn't really doing anything for you. You're so used to your comfort zone that you've been living probably in it for so long that you haven't experienced situations or experiences outside of your comfort zone that you, I swear, will realize make you either stronger or like better in any type of capacity. Things that happen out of your comfort zone, you will be surprised as to what can happen outside of your comfort zone when you actually like push yourself. Like I said, I definitely need to implant this in my own brain and need to tell myself this a lot, but I don't know, like you kind of just feel good about yourself when you actually do something out of your comfort zone because of the fact that A, you've pushed yourself that far, and B, you realized a little more than what you probably already knew you can do. You just kind of exceeded your own expectations. You've exceeded your own like limits for things, which, like I said, you will just feel very, very proud. And honestly, I'd say like you just really have to go for it. The next thing I had was everything happens for a reason. I am honestly a very, very firm believer on this statement that everything does happen for a reason. Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, it either is happening or it's happened. And it's something that can either hurt you, something you can use to better yourself, something you can experience and learn from. I feel like that's kind of the moral a lot out of all of these quotes is like learning from situations where like these quotes can be said, if that makes sense. But it's either something that can hurt you or it's something that's gonna bring you to something better. No matter what I don't want to say like what the deal is, but it's something that's going to happen. It's either something that's happening, you know it's going to happen. Some things are definitely out of your control. There's not really much you can do about it. It's going to happen, unfortunately, whether you like it or not. But I feel like when it does happen and you kind of overcome or get through the situation, you'll kind of more so realize maybe like why it happened, which I feel like is kind of the moral of everything happens for a reason. You might not want to go through it, but in the end you will see, oh, this happened because it brought me to here, or it opened this door, it gave me this opportunity, or like, yeah, this hurt me, but now in the future I'll know blah blah blah, like I'll know how to react to this situation. Or I don't know, maybe even friendships, like it happened for a reason. Like you were friends with this person, they did this to you, you might not have liked it, but now you'll see that in the future you want to keep this type of person in your close knit of friends. Like you might not obviously have wanted to go through that situation, but in the end it's kind of making it better for you because you're starting to realize different things and things that are good for you versus things that are bad for you, if that makes sense. Like it's not a reason you'll see or notice right away, but you'll see or understand why whatever happened eventually. The last one that I had, I didn't really have a long list of quotes. These are just what kind of came to mind when I first was trying to mock up this episode. I don't like plan episodes, obviously like word for word, but I give kind of little statements I can talk about and kind of branch off of. So when I was sitting here writing down these quotes that I love, and like the first couple ones that came to mind, I wrote down little, I don't know, like little debriefs of it, I guess you can say. So I only had like a list of, what is this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because I had 2 and 1 type of thing. The last one that I had was, if you want something done, do it right. Oh, that's not what I said. The quote was, if you want something right, do it yourself, is what I meant to say. This was a type of thing where I don't want to say I'm like OCD, but sometimes I'm very like specific on how I want things done. And if someone else is either wanting to help or you ask someone to do it and they don't do it how you kind of wanted it, it's not that they did it wrong per se, or they did it, I don't know, like I don't want to say like they messed it up, but if it's not like up to your expectations, like at that point I'm just like, I'd rather do it myself, if that makes sense. You may not want to do whatever it is that you're either trying to get help with, or someone wants to help you with, or you're giving to someone else to do, but in the end, you are either gonna honestly complain about it, like I said, if it's not up to your expectations, or even like critique like any little small possible detail that only you might see needs to be done, or changed. So I feel like you're potentially just going to be like saving yourself the time and the energy, and you're not going to be upsetting someone that either wanted to help and you're still like criticizing or critiquing it, or I don't know, like some things it's just one of those situations where it's you know how you want it done. You know you'll probably be the only one to see little small intricate details. So in that case, you might as well save yourself the time and just fit it into your schedule, fit it into whatever you're doing, and just do it yourself. I know there are definitely certain things where I tell that to myself because I'm like, oh, I can easily be like, hey, this person can do this, or this person can do that. But like in hindsight, I'm just going to do it myself because I know this is how I'm going to want to see it in the end. And if I don't, I'm going to be pretty upset or like mad almost because you know how you wanted it and it didn't come out to your quote unquote expectations. And then I feel like I would be kind of, I don't know, I would feel bad. I would be very guilty in the end of saying either A, I like how such and such came out even if I don't, or B, criticizing or critiquing someone for the work and hard work that they've put into whatever I probably didn't want to do if I ended up not doing it, but like myself. And it's just one of those things where I'm going to tell myself like, I didn't want to do it. They wanted to help. Why am I going to say anything about how they got it done? But I don't know. I don't know if any of that just made sense or if that was just another complete episode of rambles. But with that being said, those are the quotes that I personally love. I kind of live by some, definitely like it is what it is and everything happens for a reason type of quotes. The other ones I do love. The comfort zone one, like I said, I'm going to try to like implant tattoo in my brain because I feel like I have pushed myself out of comfort zones. Doing this podcast is definitely completely 100% out of my comfort zone. Being on YouTube, between A, this podcast, and B, my own YouTube channel, completely out of my comfort zone. That is definitely something I'll always be proud of for myself. We're starting those two things. Now doing this podcast by myself, I cannot tell you how scared I was to record an episode by myself. If you know, and if you're coming from what was the Alyssa and Julian podcast, that's what this podcast was before I renamed it, rebranded it. Julian and I had a podcast that we did together, and when it first started to get a little difficult with our scheduling and trying to sit and record at the same time, I was so on the board of like, I still want to put an episode out and I don't want to skip weeks and skip episodes and kind of start this podcast really strong and start it to like kind of teeter away a little bit, that I know I put up a poll on our Instagram story for the podcast asking if we wanted to skip a week and wait for both of us to be able to sit and record, or if I can just put out an episode by myself to still have an episode out for that week. And when I tell you that the winner of that poll was recording my own episode, when I actually got to sitting down and recording, I was terrified to sit and record an episode. Why? I have no idea. But it was the fact of sitting by myself in front of that camera and talking about, I don't even know what the episode was that I had talked about when I did my first solo episode. But the fact that I was just sitting there by myself trying to make an episode of whatever it was about sound interesting for the audience, for you guys, I was so scared. And the fact that when I edited it, I hate saying that sentence. I feel like it sounds so weird. When I had to edit it, and when it finally went live, I'm not even kidding, like I was shaking so bad. I was so scared. I don't even remember like how good or bad it did, to be honest, but that episode kind of gave me the courage to kind of sit and do a podcast by myself, because on the Alyssa and Julian podcast, I did end up doing a couple more by myself before we just ended the podcast, and I ended up having this one my very own. But I am very excited that we are where we are. This podcast is, or has been, doing very, very well. So once again, I feel like I've mentioned it in the last couple episodes that I've recorded. A big thank you to you guys. I definitely wouldn't be here without you guys listening, watching, however you stream your podcasts. But I thank you guys for listening and watching this one. I thank you guys for continuing to listen to this one. If you just happen to come across it one day, if you found it by accident, thank you for staying and listening to more episodes. But with that being said, I love you guys so much. Thank you guys so much. And I will be back next week with a brand new episode. I'm going to go get another coffee and sit and watch a sunset by myself. And I am so freaking excited, to be honest. But I love you guys. I'll see you next week. Bye.